I have listened to many out there that are hurting because our government has let the people suffer. They have let those unemployed go without benefits now for over a month. Congress is talking about Goldman Sachs and other matters that have nothing to do with the unemployed. Even the news media has forgotten all about them. News about the Haiti victims got weeks of attention. Obama gets attention over nukes, but the unemployed are still out there but not recognized. They have been forgotten. People in the Great Depression got together and worked together for the good of all, yet today people are cold and look down on the unemployed.
Speaker, in closing, I'd like to share with yourself something that happened this morning. I was on C-SPAN and a woman named Betty called in and was very concerned that we were not working on a bipartisan basis, that there was no consensus or compromise, that we were paralyzed. And it's sometimes hard to answer somebody on the other end of a telephone at the time, but I would like to take today note that this is an example of the dozens of times every week that we come together, the chairman and myself, members of the committee, and we find things we can't agree on that are good for America, the common good, and they will not usually be noted. So today I would hope that we all note that, and for Betty who called in this morning, that in fact this is an example where we can't find compromise, we can't find a win-win for the American people. I would hope that we would do more of it. Chairman Towns has been good at looking for those examples, and I pledge to be better at looking for opportunities like this. I'd like to lastly thank Leader Hoyer and Leader Boehner for the help they gave us in expediting this to the floor. And with that, Speaker, I urge support and passage of the bill and yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from New York.
Mr. Speaker, let me just make this statement and I will yield back as well. Let me again say how glad I am that we're taking the time to fight waste, fraud, and abuse of our precious tax dollars. With this measure, I want to thank the gentleman from California for his comments and the fact that we are working together to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. This is a classic example. And I want to thank him for his working.
Did you hear of anything mentioned about the unemployed? No, I thought not. They're talking about passing a bill that will restructure Wall Street and the banking system. Meanwhile, the unemployed are still hurting.
Ask you, excuse me, this is a senator-only
Can
elevator.
I come on the elevator?
No, you may not.
Can you tell us why you're blocking this vote?
I already did, explained it.
Well, what is the issue? Are you concerned about these
Excuse
people
me.
who are unemployed?
I've got to go to the floor.
Senator, can you just explain to us why you're holding this up? I'm sure you have an explanation.
Excuse me.
Okay, are you concerned about those that are going to lose their benefits?
See when we poll that rage, if you will, that people are just as angry, if not a little more angry, at Republicans than they are at Democrats. And I look at this past week with Senator Bunning and the holding up the unemployment benefits emergency legislation, because you know that one of the raps against Republicans is that it's an angry party of white men who don't really care about the unemployed, the uninsured. And it doesn't seem to me that the Bunning situation helped your cause.
No, I think he rallied people around him, to be honest with you. It didn't help the Republican cause because the Republicans didn't rally around him. the elected Republicans.
So you think the problem here was not Jim Bunning, but that people didn't go stand by him?
The rage against Republicans that's out there is they want to see Republicans stand on principles and fight for those principles.
But it's not a mistake, you don't think, to fight for those principles really at the detriment the people who are the most vulnerable in our society right now?
Nothing would have happened if the Democrats would have just paid for it. People would have gotten their unemployment compensation. I think Bunning was brave in standing up there and taking it on by himself.
But this particular time, to halt people's jobs that were working on public infrastructure jobs, to put in jeopardy people's unemployment benefits and their health care just was not exactly the right vehicle to make that stand. You don't think that's a PR problem at the very least?
No, I really don't. If it's communicated properly, there's an argument to be made that these extensions of this unemployment benefits keeps people from going and finding jobs. In fact, there's a study that there's some studies that have been done that shows that people stay on unemployment compensation and they don't look for a job until 2 or 3 weeks before they know the benefits are going to run out.
Congressman, that's such a hard sell, isn't it? I mean, it's to say, well, people are unemployed because they want to be.
Well, it is the truth, and people in the real world know it. And they have friends that they know it. Sure, we ought to be helping people that are unemployed find a job, but we also have budget considerations that are incredibly important, especially now that Obama is spending monies that we don't even have